management of information stream, definition of need for vehicles and the communications, transport and its concepts. Transport is the branch of production of goods, transporting people and the freights. In structure of social production, transport belongs to the sphere of production material services. Transport as a component a larger system, a logistic chain, has resulted in need to consider it in different aspects. Carrier, the person which is really carrying out transportation of goods by own transport, the actual carrier, or any person assuming the same responsibility as carrier as a result or accurately expressed or main obligation to undertake this responsibility. Freight is any property including live animals, the containers, pallets, or similar transport and the packing devices which aren't provided by the forwarding agent regardless of whether it is transported on the deck or under the deck. The international transportation, a trip of the loaded or not loaded vehicle which points departure and the destinations to various member countries, the transit or not through on more countries. Comparative logistic characteristics of different types of transport. In modern conditions, the concept of logistics includes a big complex of the operations connected with stockpile management, warehousing of goods and the process of delivery. The mission of logistics is satisfaction demand clients goods at the smallest expenses connected with functioning of system, transport, warehouse, economy, stocks. Public transport, branch of a national housekeeping which satisfies requirement of a branch's economy for transportation of goods and passengers. Two problems of transport logistics. First of tasks, which solution increases coherence of their direct transport process, ensuring technical compliance of participant of transportation process. Technical compliance means a coordination of parameters of vehicles which to work with contains and the packages. Ensuring technological compliance of participant of transportation process. Technological compliance means use of information technology of transportation, straight line overloads. Coordination of economic interests of participants of transporting process, and the use of informed systems of planning. Transportation in the course of the address in modern conditions carried out generally by public transport. It's railway, automobile, water, air. And also spatial transport. the pipe duct, high voltage power lines, and the railway approaches and weather. First, transport doesn't make new material production and is continuation of process of production within process of the address. Secondly, transportation of goods and passengers is inseparable from process of transport production. Here it is impossible to save up create herd stocks. Thirdly, production of transport doesn't contain raw materials. The salary share in its prime cost or twice higher than its industry. Cost of depreciation, fuel and the electric power make nearly a half of our operational cost of transport. Firstly, the calculation of the fund allocated for development of a transport differs for circulation of the means aimed at the development of the industry and the agriculture. Lection 8. Information support of logistic process. Trade, warehouse and the transport documentation. Logistic information is the purpose of knowledge necessary for management process and the creation of the organization. Information support of logistics at the enterprise, processing the account, the analysis and the forecast of information represents a link for integration instruments of management, planning, control and the organization, and also for connection of control system with system execution. Logistic information is a purposefully collected data necessary for ensuring process of management of logistic system of the enterprises. The document, the written act of the established or standard form made by certain and the competent officials and also citizens for a statement and of data on the facts, or the certificate of the facts having legal value or for confirmation of the rights and the duties. Document this written confirmation of the fact of commission of logistic operation. Types of documents: primary, secondary, logbook of credit orders. It's obligatory requisites in primary documents: name of the document, date of drawing of document, the name of the organization on behalf of which the document has been made, content of operation measuring instruments in natural and the monetary value, name of positions of the person responsible for commission of operation and the correctness of her performance, professional signatures of specialized persons. Document route: a way of movement of the document in the course of its processing. The ordered list of performance whom the document bypasses during the life cycle. Document flow. The movement of documents in space and in time from the moment of their creation of or archiving before completion of execution or sending. Movement and the joint information processing by the staff of divisions at the enterprise and also enterprises, his contractors and the logistic partners. Transporters documentation. The generalized list of the documents accompanying freight. 1. Commodity transport consignment note, invoice, act of loading of the vehicle, the certificate of quality of freight have an industrial origin. The warrant certificate if freights have phytogenesis. Certificate on an origin. The power of attorney on transportation. Consignment notes, summary sheets, and the commodity transport consignment note. The document confirming the conclusion of the contract of transportation characterizing and the transported freight, the place of his loading and the unloading, extent of road transportation, and the containing marks of the consignor and the consigned. The list of documents on freight which the driver, when performing international transport, has to have. 1. Book of MDP TIK Cornet. 2. The commodity transport consignment note. The cargo manifest CMR with the specifications enclosed by the consignor. Certificates, the sanitary passport, and the accompanying documents. The certificate of quality, the quarantine certificate, the veterinary certificate. 3. The cargo customs declaration used by freight. 4. Certificate of insurance of responsibility of carrier. Copy of the insurance policy. 5. The invoice on freight. And 6. The license for export and import of freights. Lection 9. Transfer of logistic data and the design of logistics systems. Tariffs. Transfer of logistic data. Partners in production, trade and transportation will usually exchange data in the form of the written document, which implementation of new high-performance information communication system effective. The way of data transfer by means of documents can be replaced with data transfer directly with the information medium of communications and its design of logistic systems. In the countries with the developed market economy, the guide of any industrial, the companies are faced by a problem of creation of effective logistic system. It is represented obvious that it's impossible to often uniform recipe of creation of such system. Definition of the purpose is the first and one of the most difficult and responsible steps on which efficiency of the created system directly depends. The concept of logistics imposes strict requirements to process a definition of the purpose. So each purpose has to have qualitative the characteristics, quantitative the characteristics, and the time interval which is taken with away on achievement of this purpose. Proceeding from goals, the design and segment and logistic systems formulated. Planning and control of logistic activity. Creation of effective system and the successful implementation of logistic activity require careful and high quality planning of a conjuncture of the market, work of production, supplying and marketing and the transport links. It's logical planning is carried out to levels: strategic, quick. The famous American expert in the field of logistics, G. Bowersox, has allocated four main the direction of logistic strategy, namely: 1. Minimum joint costs. 2. Maximum level of service of consumers. 3. Short-term maximizing profit. And 4. The maximum advantage of competitors. Tariffs. The strategy of pricing and the definition of useful expenses at the organization of transportations. The expenses and the expenses carried according to economic contents and the appointment to production and the product sales, works, services, expenses, prime cost. In planned calculations, the indicator product cost is used. Shop, which consists of expenses on the centers of responsibility. Production, which includes set of our expenses connected with production of works, services. Trade, which units cost of sales of productions, works, and services. Full, which includes costs of production and the product sales. Besides, expenses are subdivided on conditional and constant, independent of the outputs and the product sales, operation and the services, and the conditional and the variables dependent on the volumes. Direct, distributed on production by direct method, and the indirect, distributed by indirect methods. Current and the capital, the main and the auxiliary, one element and the complex, normalized and the not normalized. Freight rates by the economic nature the prices for the services connected with delivery of goods. Freight rate promote a rational combination of interests of the cargo owners and the enterprises involved in process of delivery of goods. Freight rates reflect work expenses, simulate development and the improvement of operation and on delivery of goods. Form public requirements. Process distributive function, promote a process of distribution value aided for needs of a production, consumption and accumulation.